Hello, welcome to another episode of Daily Market Mastery with me, Christian Rauchenwald. On this sunny afternoon, I hope you all had a great weekend. It's time again to take a look at my portfolio and try to forecast how certain stocks and indices are going to move during the next couple of days. As always, however, before we get to that, two things. First, the usual disclaimer: everything that I share in this live stream / video is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. And second, everything that I'm using, so the broker, the charting software, the strategy I'm following, and so on, is all linked in the description down below, so you can check it out for yourself. The one thing I recommend, as always, is if you don't know it yet, check out the Elliott Wave principle. You can read this online for free if you use the link in the description down below, or you can get yourself a physical copy if you choose to do so. Now, with that, let's jump into it. Last week on Friday, I was not at home. I was actually on the road, so I didn't check the charts, and I actually also didn't check them later. So we might have one or two things to look into. I think we're going to start with GameStop, since we already have it open. So on one hand here, let's zoom out a little bit. So, okay, yeah, too much. That we don't need any, no, that we can leave for now. So on one hand here, we have last week we had our breakout here to the bottom that came a little bit as a surprise, but was not outside of the realm of possible things to happen, but just that I considered it unlikely. Yeah, so can't always be right. And the question now obviously is, how far does this go? Where does it take us? And right now, based on the pattern, it's hard to say. Like, theoretically, if we're done here with the corrective pattern, then this would need to divide into a corrective pattern, or corrective wave pattern, which means it should be 3 waves, ideally. From the looks of it, however, it looks more like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means right now I'd expect we get some ABC movement and potentially another downwards movement, which is going to be interesting because the moment we go below the 2278, so let's zoom out a little bit. The moment we go below the, what was it, 2231, sorry. The moment we go below 2231, it also means that we're not just correcting this upwards movement, but we're still in the overall correction that's happening from either here up, now zoom a little bit, either here or from the overall correction from here. And that's obviously interesting. So for those of you already familiar with Elliott Wave Theory, if that is indeed a 5-wave pattern, we would get a 3-wave pattern, and then we should get another 5-wave pattern to have a big 3-wave pattern for a correction. However, if that then breaks us through the 2231 here, then it's not like 5 waves, 3 waves, 5 waves up, but it's then 3 waves, 5 waves, 3 waves, 5 waves, 3 waves, 5 waves, and then, however, here we would then get another 3-wave, 5 waves, so it would go a little lower or a bit lower. Overall, I'm not too worried with GameStop, as I shared in previous streams already, considering the financial statement and a few other aspects, but it's interesting to know. Now, it's obviously not the greatest thing to happen for my current position, so currently we have $35 call options sold that expire this Friday, for a measly $250 in premium that we earned during an 11-day period with those options. Yeah, I mean, if this were to be a 3-wave corrective pattern, which it could be, it's just that it visually on the first glance doesn't look like, and we would have to look closer and try to label it, and I'm not going to do that. But if that were a 3-wave corrective pattern, one could expect or argue that this might be the end of the correction here, and we get wave 1, wave 2, and now the next wave upwards 3, 4, 5. And then it's possible still that my options end up in the money, my shares get called away, and so on. But I consider it unlikely, considering the recent movement and considering how visually this looks like 5 waves down. Now we might get 3 waves up, and then we might get another 5-wave push down. Either way, that then just means that for those of you that still want to enter, there's going to be a cheaper entry. For me, that means that I will be able to sell the $30 strike price call options maybe for next week. And again, while the premium will be lower, if we trade a little lower, still make a little bit of money from that premium. And I think that's it for now with GameStop. Now, other than GameStop, we're going to actually, before we continue, I'm going to open up the activity report for the last 2 days, so for Friday and Thursday. Just a second. So we need one for Friday, that's this one, and the other one for Thursday, to see how many of our shares were lent out and how that changed. So this here is Friday, and this here is Thursday. So July 25, 25th, and 26th. Yeah. So on and now stock yield enhancement program, we can see that on Thursday we had Greenwave, COS, and SunPower lent out almost the full amounts in most of those cases, and for SunPower, for Greenwave, and for COS with like quite high interest rates. And the stock yield enhancement program. It's still the same list. So Greenwave, COS, and SunPower that were lent out on Saturday, on Friday as well. However, we can see we had almost 400 shares of Greenwave lent out at 57.45% net fee rate. So the actual interest rate that somebody paid to borrow those shares was 115% roughly. And that changed to a slightly higher interest rate, but owned fewer shares borrowed. For COS, it went from 68 out of 100 shares at 60% to 84, so more shares, but at a 20% lower interest rate, so 10% lower net rate. And for SunPower, however, we can see the interest rate, so the full amount of shares, or not the full amount, I think we have more by now, SunPower, SPWR, no, full amount, so we have 200 shares right now. So almost the full amount of shares was at around 11%, and now it's around 40% interest. So the interest rate here increases. Now, if we take that to the chart, so again, double checking. So in GWave, in Greenwave, we set same amount. No, actually higher amount of shares lent out. No, lower amount of shares lent out, slightly or pretty much same interest rate. And we're still moving slightly downward, but sideways. I think considering the lack of shares available and the high interest rate again, that the price action should be considered, at least in my opinion, relatively stable. We're gonna hold on, or I'm gonna keep holding on to that, especially while we earn an annualized interest rate of around 50% for the shares that we lend out. So it can drop quite substantially to compensate for the earning, or for the payments we receive through the stock lending or stock yield enhancement program compensates nicely for like a moderate drop in value of the shares. So we're gonna hold on to that still. In COS, price is still like moving sideways. We still have two options. We're waiting, and it will take, since we're anyway looking on a daily chart, it will take a few weeks to really be sure if this is going to be A, B, C, and then from there we go up, or if this is already the A, B, C, and this is actually our first wave 1, 2, and we get wave 3 upwards. Either way, we're going to hold on, and if it gets cheaper at some point, we're going to use whatever funds we have available from through selling options or writing options to gobble up a few more shares. And SunPower is now moving a little bit, recovered a little bit recovered almost 50% from the recent drop, and now has the next small correction in there. Question is how this will develop. Will this turn into an ABC pattern, and from there we rally further down, or will we get the start of a fresh impulsive pattern? Obviously, there are a lot of aspects to consider, but also considering the small amount that I have in SunPower, it's kind of like I don't know how to say it, like no care in the world position. So we keep an eye on it, and if it were to go up, eventually we would close the position. But even if it goes down to zero, so be it. It's not like it cost a fortune to open, so we're good with that. And that's that about Greenwave, COS, SunPower, and GameStop. Now we have a few things left to look at. We can look at Barnes and not here obviously, but in Motive Wave up. Also some alerts that triggered. Or that GameStop alert is old. But the other one we don't even have anymore. So no. Okay, alerts cleared. So Barnes and Noble's educational. We're still waiting for a full confirmation of basically further upwards movement to confirm that we have our first impulse here, wave 1, wave 2, and now in wave 3. or for a further decline in value to confirm that there is no valid pattern yet, and that it's also a small position that we probably shouldn't have opened, but we'll see how it turns out. And immersion, yeah, there we are still within the realm of possibility that this is like wave 3, 4, and wave 5. And additionally that this could be wave A, B, and wave C down. But considering how close we already got here to 100% level, so like, or to the 0% level back, I think that this will turn out as wave 3, 4, and wave 5 will have the profit targets between 1484 and 1730. And with that, we will then finish this 5-wave pattern here, and then we'll get the next correction downwards to correct this entire pattern. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 3 is not finished yet, 3, 4, and then, oh no, then we still have like further room. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then wave 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that will finish wave 3, which means then the next correction will only correct this wave here, bring us down a little bit again into probably the same area around $12, and then we'll get another final wave 5 to finish this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern. And when that then happens, which again is going to be weeks away anyway, so we will potentially, in my opinion, get the next corrective pattern before we then finish or complete the next impulsive pattern. So I think immersion is going to be a good long-term hold in that case, or at least for the foreseeable future. Gonna see how it turns out, obviously given enough time. And yeah, NEO, we hold a few shares, not much to say. We're still waiting for a breakout here. As long as we don't go below the point that we have here, 414, we are relatively safe. But even if we were to go lower, the real low point here is at 361, where any kind of pattern becomes invalid. But at 414, we already would have to worry in quotes, because then this is not a 1, 2, 3, so A, B, C pattern anymore, because then we would have a new low point here, and then it's going to be hard to label this as a corrective pattern with the expectation to get another impulsive pattern. So in other words, within the next couple of days, or yeah, like actually within the next couple of days, let's say within the next week, so we pretty much maybe next 2 weeks, we pretty much expect to break out through here or get proven wrong on the other side. So that's NEO. PK, do we still hold PK? No, PK we don't have anymore. We have Grab, we still have, yeah, where our one call is waiting to happen. Grab. Yeah, same waiting game. So here we have a very, very long run sidewards movement that I think most likely will be wave 1, 2, and then that be the next wave 1, 2, and then that might be the next wave 1, 2. So similar to what the auto labeling suggests. But that from here, either I'm right and we will eventually see the break to the top that the auto labeling expects here, wave 3 at 590, or me and the auto labeling are both wrong and we will eventually break the price level 260 roughly, and then eventually the one at 220, to be proven wrong that there is no valid pattern. And yeah, the rest does not bother or does not justify to get looked at, to be honest. Yeah. And I think that's it for today. So it's probably one of the shorter streams. I thought there would be more movement. We can still, last thing, we can check out SPY. Yeah, there on Friday, we hit the 100% retracement. And as expected, so we had our last stream on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, which was the 24th. So here, where the expectation was, okay, we will finish this as an ABC pattern. So from the looks of it, from here, we should go up. So that should be a corrective ABC pattern, and from here we should then ideally develop the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern. The only alternative would be if that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but for that, those two waves are in that quotes from my taste too identical, especially considering that we bounced pretty much exactly on the 100% level. So wave A and then 100% of wave A. So I think in SPY we go up from here. Again, we'll have to see if and how we can identify the wave pattern here to then determine when the next correction is going to come. But this one, yeah, it's already over. Like, congrats to everyone that traded it on the way down. We had I had all my money committed in other positions. So yeah. And with that, we can also check NVIDIA. There we said we'll hit, yeah, like we went a little bit further, but it actually went out pretty well. So during our last stream, we expected to, first of all, based on this wave A, wave B, that our wave C will hit the 110 level. And we see we hit it nicely. And based on this wave C that we subdivided into wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and potentially wave 5, we determined that the wave 5 target would be at 109.33. Well, we went a little bit lower to 106 temporarily here during that 4-hour period. But overall, it also looks like we are out of the woods here. I mean, there's no guarantee. There is still a possibility for one push lower. So if we move that one a little bit back, because we also need 5 waves down here, and it could be that this has just 1, 2, 3, 4, and we still get one push down. But from the looks of it, because we bounce around the 100% here, we also have the forecast for wave 5 and hit the target and then bounce. I'd be more likely to say we're done here with the correction and we get the next impulsive movement upwards as well. Next couple of days are going to be interesting in that case. Would have been a good entry at 110. However, the problem always with like trying to enter in those corrections is if you mislabel the correct, you don't always know where to put the stop loss, or the stop loss would need to be very, very far away. Yeah, if you mislabel the corrective pattern, you might just enter very, very badly. But right now it would be one of those cases where, or not even right now, but basically last week already here, where one could have gone long with the stop loss here, so limited stop loss, and if it's indeed the turnaround point, we would go up till here or so, which is like a 4% increase with less than 1% risk. So our risk-reward ratio would have been great here to make that play, but again, all my funds were anyway committed in other positions. That said, so it's nice, even though I apparently got it wrong a little bit with the GameStop forecast, in quotes. Yeah, I mean, again, nobody's always right. But it's nice to see that at least in SPY and NVIDIA, my projections from the last couple of days actually played out exactly the way I expected them to. And we're going to see if they keep playing out like this in the future. And yeah, since there are no questions in the chat, we're going to call this call it a day. And the only thing I'm going to consider real quick, last thing before we do that, is maybe, yeah, there's no premium for the $30 calls with 4 days left, and for 11 days left, it's also not a high premium. So I was considering if I should close out buy to close my $35 calls to secure that profit instead of waiting till Friday for the full $250, and instead already sell $30 calls. But yeah, that doesn't make sense right now, because the premium here we would basically lose $100 on profit that we would get if we wait till Friday, and here we would only make up $150, but we add 7 days to the expiration, so it basically just reduces our earnings for next week. So we're not going to do that, and with that we really will we're done for today. So as always, yeah, no, I don't have to always use it. Yeah, especially if I'm, never mind. Anyway, yeah, my lovely wife is asking why I didn't use the 8-ball to predict anything. Yeah, we're going to do it another time again. Today, I really don't know what to ask the 8-ball because I'm fairly confident in my assessments. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Don't forget, you can always, if you manage to join the stream live, which roughly happens around 5 minutes before market open daily, ask your questions, and also ask me if you want me to, or let me know if you want me to look at other stocks and assets. And yeah, so again, thanks for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, enable notifications so you don't miss out on future streams. And with that, see you in another stream tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day and a great